Welcome
What's
everybody.
up?
How you doing out there? Thank you for joining us today. Today, our topic is about current events. Always something going on, always something happening, um, and always something on the table to discuss. What will we discuss today? Well, we have the 21-year-old who was arrested for sharing classified documents on Discord, apparently with his friends to make himself look better, I guess. We're going to discuss that a little bit. We're going to discuss Special Counsel Jack Smith and possibly digging into um, investigating grifting on the fundraising done by Trump and his peoples in regards to last year. Um, Possible fraudulent claims to fundraise and not using that money for its purpose, as it being said. Then we have Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. All the gifts that he has received. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it legal? Is it ethical? Who's to say? Then we have this week San Francisco, the bad murder of Bob Lee, the founder of Cash App. He knew his killer. He knew his killer. And what about that abortion pill lawsuit? It's been put on pause by the higher court. Um, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it's been put on pause. Why? And what side will that help? Then we got the arrest in Russia by the of the Wall Street journalist for spying. I mean, really, they've got to come up with some new reasons to get back or get vengeance on folks because it's getting kind of tired. I guess everybody spies in Russia. Only when they say they're spying. They can be there for months and years and be okay, and all of a sudden they're spies. Well, it just actually came out today that they're willing to talk and possibly do a trade. Aha! The truth comes out as to why he was arrested. And what do we say about the flooding in Florida and Fort Lauderdale? I mean, what is it? Folks still don't want to admit there's some kind of climate change going around town. All right, before we get into this, let's bring in our commentator, Jeremy, to join us. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
What's going on? Glad to be back.
We're
So
glad
much
to
to talk
have you
about.
back.
So much to talk about.
Yes, yes,
Just when
yes.
you think it can't get any crazier,
It does.
whew, I'll never say never again, man, because I'm like, this can't get any crazier. Nope. I was way off, man. Oh
I
my
think
God.
since Trump has been president, we should have learned already to never say never and stop using that word unprecedented.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's unbelievable what's going on right now.
It's
I
totally unbelievable.
It's
Totally
almost like it
unbelievable.
should be some kind of special on Amazon or Netflix or something, but no, it's actually happening in America right now.
It
This
is.
stuff is bizarre.
And it's
And you
not a
know,
dream or a nightmare, right? This is real life.
and I never used to follow politics, but now that I do, I'm glad I do. It's entertaining. It really is. Some of this stuff is outright laughable. I mean, really.
For sure. For sure, right?
It,
I think I mean I agree with you 100%. I think I'd rather turn on a news program than a movie because it's entertaining.
It really is. It's so bizarre too. And the crazy part though is people are believing this stuff. I
Yeah.
see it on social media every day. You know what I mean? People are buying into this stuff still.
But do you think
Less and
they're
less,
buying
but
into it because they believe it, or because um there's nothing else to go by, to go on, or to feed
I,
what they want to believe?
I mean, I think some people just have a desire for some reason for there to be this apocalyptic event in this country. Like I said, like Netflix, you know what I mean? They watch too many movies, too many series about, what would happen after everything ended. You know what I mean? I believe some
Yeah.
people were that demented. I really truly believe that. Some people are gullible. Some people are just downright hateful and will believe as long as somebody's hating somebody, they'll believe
Yeah.
anything they say.
And that's
And
the
the
sad
hate is
thing
out in the
about it.
open.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the sad thing about it. Why do we have to hate? If you don't love, why do you have to hate? Okay, don't love. That's fine. Do
Yeah.
you? But why do you have to resort to the total opposite of hating your fellow brothers and sisters, fellow humans?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
definitely um,
What's that
horrible.
the Martin Luther King quote? Hate can't drive out hate. Or yeah, wait, darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. And then hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that.
Very
I
good.
love that quote. I love that
Very
quote, and I
good.
say it right now because I think it's relevant to today. Even 60 years later, or
Yeah.
however long it's been. You know what I'm saying? Like people things are said back in the day that they're so profound now, even more profound now than they were back when they said it. I think.
And it's it's profounding to to believe that some people actually believe that engaging in hate and racism, um and anger and evilness
Hmm.
will benefit us in the long run, or
Yeah.
will do good in the long run, and it does not.
I get a lot of slack online for these trolls online that just they lash out at me. They call me a coward for trying to be, fight for freedoms for all Americans. And I'm like, how am I being a coward? I'm trying to fight for everybody when you're just trying to fight for yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a coward. You know what I mean? That if you're just fighting for yourself and your own ridiculous beliefs and hating everybody else, I mean,
Well,
come on.
it's the fact that those type of folks only believe that their people matter or are important. Anyone
Hmm.
else is not important. So they see it as good fighting for just what they want, and
Hmm.
ignoring everyone else, which happens to be the majority.
And wasn't it Marjorie Taylor Greene that actually referred to this guy on Twitter as a white nationalist, like it was a good thing?
Yeah,
I believe
I was
that's what her
gonna
tweet was.
I was gonna get into that. Yes,
Oh my
she
god.
actually defended this gentleman, but the word is she defended this gentleman when she found out that on his social media pages or something, he's all about guns, and also had some racial memes posted up,
Yeah, on
and
Discord.
because of
It was
that,
on.
that allowed her, or proned her to side with him. Isn't that pitiful and pathetic?
I actually, that's what the first thing I did. I made the video this morning about it. I was so upset about it. Like I can't believe. I mean, that's treason. That is the definition of treason. And you're gonna go ahead and treat this guy like and speak about him like he's some kind of hero,
Right.
and then point out that he's whatever Christian white nationalist. You know what I mean? Like those are good qualities. Those are not good qualities. Those are things that shouldn't
Well,
exist.
and
And
that might be true, but in this example, in this situation, it's definitely not good, right? I mean, this gentleman has released a bunch of classified information for everyone to see. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
else should matter. It shouldn't
Yeah.
matter if they were Christian, if they were Republican or Democrat, young or old. Nothing else should matter. They
Yeah.
broke the law.
I mean, to the full. That's about the females fundamental. I mean, I was speechless. I was so speechless when I saw people praising him, and then and he just is hateful like everybody else. You know what I mean? And then the hateful people have platforms now
Yeah,
online. They have
sad.
platforms and they can spread this nonsense nonstop
And I can
without
only
anybody stopping them.
imagine if he was a Democrat or if he publicly made it known that he sided with Democratic issues,
Mhm.
nothing that she said would have been said.
Right. But this is the type of environment that MAGA and Donald Trump bring. They constantly push this type of defiance. They push, fighting back against democracy. You know what I mean? We're not going to take democracy. We're going to put one leader in power and that's going to be it. That's what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? And this is the type of reactions you're going to get. You're going to get people, whether they're in the United States service or not, are dumb enough to think that what they're trying to pull off is possible. You know what I mean? And it's not, you know, I don't think it's possible for this whole MAGA movement. I see it dying by the second. I really do. But these are the violence has escalated. All the violence has been right wing. This is right wing. You know what I mean? Everything goes back to this whole MAGA movement, and it's got to be put to bed once and for all before we can move on with this country, because there's so many people that still
Yeah.
believe this nonsense.
What I think is the more and more situations are happening like this dude that shared classified information, like the situations with the three Tennessee state reps that were expelled. The more and more these situations are happening, the abortion pill that they're trying to ban on all states. The more and more these things are happening, I think people are waking up slowly, but they're waking up and they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing how horrible one side of the people want want it to be for all. I mean, Governor DeSantis just signed a bill into law banning abortions after
I
6 weeks.
I thought I read that. I thought
Yeah,
after 6 weeks, Jesus. I thought I
and
read
we
that,
all
but
know
wasn't gonna say
nobody
because I didn't read.
knows really that they're pregnant at 6 weeks, but
No.
he signed it. And you know what they also said? He was at a fundraiser or giving a speech
Book
somewhere,
tour.
a book tour, and
Yeah.
he had just recently signed it, but did not mention it at all at that book tour. Now, if it was something to glorify in, and you just signed it, don't you think you would be broadcasting it publicly to who you're speaking to because you're proud of that? He didn't mention it at all.
But see, that's what these fascists do. They preach one thing, and then behind the scenes they do another. And I think that's the problem we have with about 25% of this country is they're believing all the things that are being said and not looking at what they're doing.
Right.
And they're just saying, "Oh yeah, he said this. That's great," and then not paying attention to anything else. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean? Completely different, because the stuff I talk about on social media, stuff like socialism. I got beat up for that video. But you wouldn't believe the people that just disagreed with me. They're like, "No, you're wrong." I'm like, "Have you done any research at all, or are you just upset that I just told you something you didn't know and you don't like it?"
Or they didn't like. Right.
Right. I mean, facts are facts. And the one thing I don't do on social media or on any of these podcasts is spread lies, spread misinformation. I dedicated this whole movement of mine to the truth. You know what I mean? And I think the truth has become a powerful tool recently, especially now that we've seen the amount of deception and corruption within our own government with Donald Trump and the amount of violence that it brings along with it, like you said, people are starting to pay attention. And the more and more they fight and the more crazy they get and the more stuff crazy pants Marjorie Taylor Greene says online, it brings more attention to it. So they're in turn defeating themselves because they're bringing more attention to this absolute nonsense that they're putting out there.
I was going to ask, do you think she really believes the stuff that she says, or do you think that she's doing it because she knows that it's stupid? She knows that people are going to react to it from both sides.
I don't know at this point. My theory used to be she's up Trump's ass so far that she wants to be vice president. She wants to be on the Trump ticket in 2024. I'm telling you, she said it. She said it. I want to be vice president. I'm like, are you out of your mind? You can't even do your job.
Well, a long time ago, we all probably would have thought that was insane and that would never happen. But
right,
we've come to see a lot of things that we didn't think that would happen, and they're happening. So she very well could become Trump's VP.
And I honestly think she knows. I think she knows that the only way her career is going to survive in politics is if she becomes vice president. Because I think she bought it. I think she drank the QAnon Kool-Aid a little too much. Went outside she has, I mean, there's supporters in her own district that are hanging billboards saying she needs to resign. You know what I mean? That should tell you right there.
Right.
She doesn't have the support even in her own local district anymore. So the only chance she has to survive in politics is to do something crazy like be vice president. But she doesn't have the mental bandwidth.
And that she's doing. She's definitely doing crazy things every day.
What? Yeah, supporting a traitor? That is about the most un-American, unpatriotic, and you do it out in the open.
Not to mention, it is against law and order.
It is. It's like these extreme Republicans, and I keep wanting not to say all Republicans, but I keep seeing more and more of they just won't break away from this craziness.
That's true. And being that you just mentioned that, I just want to mention by fact that it's not all Republicans, and Democrats do it too.
And there are independents. There are a lot of independents out there too, and that actually makes the majority of the voting is independent voters. Independent voters typically believe that we should vote for the most qualified person, whoever offers the most to the people.
Right.
That's kind of the theory, anyway.
Side they're on, right?
Right. That should be the way democracy works. But people have chosen sides now to an extreme measure.
Right. Whether right or wrong. So even if it's wrong, they're still on that side, and that's crazy.
Yeah, like our buddy Paul Sisler always says that Trump could. I mean, if he went to jail, I could honestly see him being dumb enough to run. I could see that happening. I could see him being like, "I'm still gonna win." Like, this guy's not gonna give up. He is not giving up on
unless he has handcuffs on him behind some bars.
All
right.
He's got it coming, man.
To each their own.
Yeah.
So, with this gentleman who released these classified documents. So, one of the topics this week was, why does he even have so much, such a high clearance at such a young age? With the job that he had, I think he was a guardsman or something. Why was he even able to get to these documents? I mean, for 21 years old, they say that he released them to try to, feel important to his friends. 21 years old.
He's gonna spend at least the rest of his life in prison. I mean, his life's over.
his life is
I
over,
hope
and it's
I
sad.
hope he enjoyed being cool for about 5 seconds because his life is over. And where he's going, there are not going to be a lot of happy people. You know what I mean? Have fun in prison, buddy. You're gonna have
But
fun. Young, young. Yeah, young looking guy like you be have a good time. But no, I mean, to get top secret clearance and above, you like they interview neighbors when you go into the military. They literally go around and interview people that you grew up with, like if you know where you're from. They do a lot of background checks. I mean, it's not like you just get a secret clearance out of nowhere, top secret, especially clearance and above. You
I think it
have to
was
go through
said that he
extensive
joined in
backgrounds. But
2019.
then they don't. I mean, they don't test for racism. You know what I mean? That's the one thing they don't look for in your background. They don't look for if you're a racist bigot. You know what I mean? If all yours bad, oh, they check all the boxes. Okay, here's your clearance. But I'm surprised that he was able. Was it? Did he take
But
pictures of it? I mean,
you know, I don't know if I believe that 100%. As much as I believe that there are a lot of people who work in the military that
mhm.
hide what they do or what they really believe from their offices.
Well, a lot of bases. I forget if it was a veterans group or they want Fox News and those right wing media things banned from bases altogether because it creates division within the freaking military. And that's the one place we need to be united. And
Right.
they need to follow orders and the chain of command. And they do not need to be releasing classified documents to be cool on Discord. You know what I mean? It's not how it's supposed to work. And we cannot have division in the military. That
and
that
and
right
as
there is
you know,
dangerous.
there were a lot of military folks that were part of the January 6th culprits breaking into the Capitol. There were a lot of
Yeah.
servicemen.
And I get, but they're not patriots. I'll say it on live. I mean, I got that's the I get a lot of heat for this too. All right, you're not a patriot if you're not defending the Constitution and you're not defending democracy and you're not defending the law and order of this country.
I agree.
That's patriotism. You know what I mean? I don't
Yes.
care if you're in the military, not in the military. If you love your country and you believe in the foundations of it, you're a patriot. But if you're going to overthrow your own government to try, you know what I mean, and
Hmm.
riot against your own into the Capitol building for the benefit of one person, not the country,
And
one person.
where the real proof in that is how many Republicans that have decided not to lie, not to go with the fraud and the cheating, they've been labeled rhinos. So Republicans in name only. So you're a real Republican if you lie. You're a
Yeah.
real Republican if you cheat. You're a real Republican if you steal. I mean, I've never heard of that. So you disown your own people who are
Hmm.
the real Republicans. They
Hmm.
are sticking to the values of Republicans, law and order, telling the truth. Now
Yeah.
everybody lies, but not to the extent of what it's been, right?
Right. Now, what I want to propose is how different is what this kid did to what Donald Trump did. I say what Donald Trump did was worse than what this kid did. Jack Smith has found out from reliable sources that Donald Trump was literally showing top secret maps
I
to
heard, yes.
people without security clearance, to aides, people that would come over to the house. Hey, check out this map with top secret information and locations.
Yes, and they're
Like,
interviewing some of those folks to ask them
yeah,
exactly, what did
but
Trump show you? What did you see?
but they arrested the kid, and Donald Trump's still grifting, taking money, and walking the street. They busted this kid's door down with guns drawn. You know what I mean? And Trump is still out there just.
And had him on national television backing up with his hands up, but not Trump.
And that's what I mean. The guy's still walking free, and the guy had thousands of documents and freely showed them to people that had no business seeing these things. And he, like, there were trophies. I mean, how pathetic and how demented do you have to
Yes.
be to do
So
something like that?
absolutely, absolutely. Did you think that the day would come that they would bring charges or talk about bringing charges against Trump for fraudulently fundraising
Yes.
on
Yes.
whatever he wanted to fundraise on, but not use the money for what he said it was for?
I have said this on so many social media posts that this is coming. I knew this was coming because, I mean, the money has never been used for anything factual. You know what I mean? And like we talked about last time, he actually brags about stuff like remodeling his personal jet with 24-karat seatbelt buckles with donor money. I mean,
Right.
he just, the crime is right there, man. I mean,
In
it's out in the
your
open.
face, in all of
Yeah.
our faces.
And that's the problem with this guy is he thinks he's above the law. He can do stuff like this, but Jack Smith is like, nah,
And what gets me is he's in your face with everything bad, and then when he's caught on it, he turns around and says, "You're picking on me. You just
Oh,
don't like me." Um,
yeah,
he knew these charges were coming. He knew this was happening. So he decided to announce he's running for election, right? Even
yeah.
though he knew that this was in the works. And
Hmm.
now, after the fact that he announced running for re-election, these charges come out. He's arrested. Now it's about they're trying to stop me from from being president again because they
Hmm.
know I will win. I'm in awe as I'm watching my
I
television.
I believe he believes what he says. I think
I think so
he's
too.
th-
But that's what
there's not
makes
enough.
it
There's
a
something
little
going on up there.
mentally not all there.
No sane person could post World War III in all capital letters on Easter, for crying out loud. Yeah, I mean, God, but what? Biden. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think Biden's perfect. I'm not gonna say that, but at the same time, on Easter, Biden's like, "Love your family, have a great holiday, bless you
Right.
all,"
Right.
and Trump is like, "World War
World War
III."
III. Right. Right.
What a
And
psycho!
and then you got the defenders who are saying Biden is a bad person. He's horrible, as
Yeah.
he's saying love thy neighbor on Easter. And then they're
Mhm.
saying no, Trump is great,
Hey,
as he's calling
n-
for World War III.
these right wing nuts were blaming Biden initially for the intel leak until they found out it was some right wing crazy person, and then all of a sudden he's a hero.
Right.
But they initially tried to throw Biden under the bus for that too. You know what I mean? If the sky turned green, they would blame Biden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how they are. But it's getting old, and I think most of America
It's getting old, and people are
sees it.
catching on. And not only
Plus,
are they
there's going to
catching on,
be.
as more and more freedoms are being
Mhm.
questioned or taken away, people are waking up. Gen Z folks are waking
Mhm.
up. They're seeing what's
Well,
happening right before their eyes. Things that their parents did not have to worry about, that they very
yeah.
well do.
My dad, God bless his soul, he'd be sick to his stomach if he was alive today to see the country the way it is. He fought in 2 wars, Vietnam and Desert Storm. You know what I mean? Loved his family, loved his country, taught me to be the way I am. He would be so disappointed with how this is going right now. I can honestly say that.
I'm sure
But
many people, um, everyday folks such as us, and leaders that are no longer living, would be turning in their grave right now over what's happening after going through the signing the Constitution and the amendments, after going through the civil rights era, going through the Social Security and Medicare era, going through the Roe versus Wade era, to
Yeah.
come to this.
This is socially set us back a little bit, but like I always say, they're out in the open now, so we know who to target. They're not being the quiet ones anymore. They've found their leader and they've attached on to him and think this is. I hate the fact that this is being normalized. I mean, this kind of hate to me will never be okay. I don't care.
It will never be okay. No,
No,
it will never be okay.
no. But you know what really terrifies the Republicans right now, the MAGA Republicans especially, is I think there's anywhere from, I can't remember, if it was 16 or 18 million new voters will be eligible in 2024. And it would never happen. But some Republicans have actually talked about, let's raise the voting age to 21. But they don't say why they want to raise the vote. That's why they want to raise it, because if they raise the voting age to 21, they would eliminate 16 million votes right off the bat. That would most likely almost all be against them because,
right.
I mean, kids these days want freedom more than anything. And now we have this small group that wants to take away freedoms, and they're not going to stand for it.
But that sure as hell is not happening. That would be the utmost hypocrisy of all. You can allow 12-year-olds to marry. You can allow 16-year-olds to carry without without licenses, and you could not care about an 18, 19, 20-year-old shooting up a school, but you want to change the voting age limit to 21. I think it would be Armageddon if
the hypocrisy
actually happen. Yeah,
the hypocrisies in America are crazy. Like these pro-life crazy people, I'll say it. They only care about the baby until it's born. Okay, after that, they hate it, don't want to help it, don't care if it lives a horrible life. You know what I'm saying? And don't care if it gets shot at school. That is the most ridiculous hypocrisy I've ever heard of, is pro-life. If you're going to care about life, you care about life before, during, and after the birth.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you don't.
If you're
you
going
don't
to
say
force someone to carry a child who's telling you they don't want to, they can't afford to, maybe mentally they're not ready to, then you should be able and willing to lend whatever support that person needs in order to raise that child, and they don't want to.
And I'll probably get a lot of in this day and age, with poverty as bad as it is, in some cases abortion is mercy. Okay. Forcing a kid to live an absolutely horrible life, poverty stricken, maybe they make it, most kids don't. Yeah, that's not, how is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, if you're not in a situation to raise that kid properly, then like abortion has to be an option. And of course, for medical reasons, if there's an emergency, abortion has to be an option. It just has to, it's medical, like the science and the medicine behind it is all there, but people are using stuff like religion to justify not being able to have abortions, which is ridiculous.
So what is your view on this current status with the abortion pill? The Texas judge that ruled to ban it nationwide, and then the judge from Washington who then said no, it should at least still be available for the I think it was like 17 states that wanted it. What's your views on that?
The science is there. It's the safest method. There's no invasive procedure. You know what I mean? It's not, women have had abortions even when abortions were illegal. I mean, that's why a lot of women died when they tried at-home abortions. You know what I mean? That's, banning abortions doesn't get rid of abortions. It puts us back into that age of where women have to take extreme measures to their own, on their own. You know what I mean? Which can lead to death. You know what I mean? And then you have a pill that saves all that hassle, no procedure, and it's safe and effective. It
For the
when I say it
last
like
20
that,
for the last 20 25 years.
yeah, it doesn't even make sense that they're mad about it. I mean, overpopulation is a real thing. You know what I mean? Poverty is a definite real thing in America. You know what I mean? And a safe method of conception, it's got to be available. Medically, it just makes sense. And I'm not a doctor, but medically, it just makes sense. It's not invasive. There's no, I mean, I'm sure there's side effects, but the risks are minimal. Okay, what's the problem? Well,
Right.
it kind of is like a no-brainer. It's like, okay, we should have this. Why are we not? Why don't we have this everywhere? Why is this a problem?
And what really, really breaks my heart is the women who may need this for medical reasons to save their own lives.
Yeah.
They, their lives are in jeopardy
hmm
without this. And it's heartbreaking.
Like it in states like Florida, you're going to have a couple things that are going to happen. Either, I mean, some women are going through the extreme of getting hysterectomies, so they don't have. I mean, in states that are
And
threatening
men,
stuff like the
and
yeah,
men.
yeah. Yeah, get vasectomies is going to go through the roof too, and I mean, people are going to leave the state, which is eventually going to affect that state because all the funding and everything they get from the government's based on the population.
Right.
So if they lose people based on these completely fascist and oppressive laws, this whole thing's going to blow up in their face. They're not thinking it through. They
But
just think they're
yeah,
going to
I
get
was
their
just
way.
about to say they're not thinking it through. Why tell them? They're not gonna believe that
Yeah,
until it happens.
but that's why I said earlier about the truth. Like there are so many places online now, like on YouTube, that are dedicated to fact checking, and I love that. You know what I mean? Now you are able to find out what really is the truth.
Right.
Because all news medias always spin things a little bit to make it more appealing to their audience. That's kind of the whole thing. They report the news, except for faux news or Fox News. They don't report. Woo, how are they still on the air? You know what I mean? But there's a lot of places dedicated to
Money.
telling the truth.
As long
Yeah,
as
well,
they have
they're going to
money
be
and investors, they will be there.
they're going to be broke. They only have like 5 billion in cash, and their lawsuit with Dominion is going. I mean, that's a dumpster fire for them right there. That is a dumpster fire.
You hear that's starting next week as well.
Yeah, and
Litigation.
I cannot believe at this point, if I was Dominion, even if they settled for double the amount, I would not. I would go through with it. I would take them down, man. I would discredit them, take their money. They're not going to be able to. And you know what I mean. Once you get hit like that, once you got cash on hand, I mean, we're talking cash on hand. They're probably worth more on paper, but 5 billion in cash, they're going to lose that in lawsuits and legal fees.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
all right, let's move on.
yeah, sorry.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has been in the news all week.
Again. Oh boy.
So it's been alleged that he's been taking gifts from what's called a friend of his, right? Very, very big, expensive gifts. This friend has purchased property or land from him, including the home that his mother lived in, and none of this was told to the government. Do you think that this is something that all the Supreme Court justices, it's okay that they continue to do, or should there really be some ethical laws to put in place to prevent them from doing this? Because who's to say that they're not selling their vote to anybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, with politicians, I get it when they're campaigning, they get kickbacks from people and stuff like that. But when you got to set a higher standard for Supreme Court justices, you know what I mean? It's one of the highest levels of the judicial system.
I mean,
and you can't have
be. It definitely should be.
But
apparently,
it was like $500,000
for one individual, it's not.
It was like $500,000 worth of stuff, though. It wasn't like little gifts. We're talking like $500,000 worth of gifts. That's not gifts. That's just I don't even know what that's called. But no,
I think
Supreme
that's
Court
why they've
justices
been
should
making
not.
it. They've made it such a big deal because that's not just a gift. That's a lot of money. That vacation that he took on his $1 million yacht around Indonesia, they said that
Mhm.
that would have cost him $500,000 itself if he was to pay for that.
Wow. Yeah. All for free. All for free. I could barely put food on the table and keep the lights on, but hey, you go ahead, buddy. You go and abuse the system. We're trying. There's people trying to live honest lives and do the right thing on a daily basis, getting, like getting crapped on. And this guy's just, on yachts.
And to
And
think we're not even a Supreme Court justice or a judge for that matter.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, have some self-respect if you're going to be in that position. But that's the kind of corruption that has become normalized over the last 6 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks to
Yeah.
Donald Trump. It all goes back to him.
What I was gonna say, both sides do that as well. Democrats
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
Republicans do that. Now, it would be my opinion to say that I see more on the right who are doing it, or at least publicly. But both sides do it for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of corruption is going to be exposed, I think, I mean, if there is corruption on both ends, then the right is terrible at finding it. I mean, am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
They keep looking, and then it's like, oh no, nothing again. Every investigation, everything they've tried to turn up, and this, you know what I mean?
You saying on the right's side?
Well, yeah, they keep trying to investigate the left, and turning up with nothing. So I'm starting to think that